I want to move on to something that you did not too many years after you completed Steady On and won your Grammy, which is another Grammy-winning song which you worked on with the great Marc Cohn.
Oh, okay.
And the song Walking in Memphis, of course, his biggest hit. How did you get involved with Marc Cohn? How did you get involved with that song? Tell us the story behind that.
There is a bit of a story. So interesting thing is I had made, so this Steady On, Marc Cohn's first record, and then I made a record with Jim Lauderdale in there for Warner Brothers. And it was all in a very condensed period, like 2.5 years. So my first 2.5 years were kind of busy. But I had made, there was a demo I had made, as I understand it. There was a demo of some of the songs from Sean Colvin's first record, was on a cassette and had been floating around. And somehow Marc Cohn had heard it. And on the demo is a lot of me playing shakers, hand drums, like I would play drums and I would use a compressor to make the backbeat kind of thing, and use little kick drum samples I had, and some drum machine programming. And he really liked that. He didn't know who I was. He didn't know I was primarily a guitar player, a bass player kind of guy. And he had spent, I don't know how much time, he had spent quite a bit of time on his first record trying to cut the tracks and was really unhappy with it. Did not come up with anything that he liked. And so he decided to try it again. I think they had done a lot of it in LA. He decided to try it again in New York. And he called me and he said, well, I'm cutting these tunes. And, I really like your drum programming. Can you come up and, I want to try some of your drum programming with these tunes. I said, yeah, but man, I really play guitar and bass. That's like really what my thing is. And he said, well, okay, bring the guitar and bass. So I took over, basically. And that's how that happened. And he had already tried to cut Memphis a few times. And then when I got involved, we had cut it. When you asked me about this, I had to even call him. I said, man, refresh my memory here. Didn't we try to cut this with Steve Gadd? And he went, yeah. Didn't we try to cut this with Manu Katché? Do you remember Manu Katché played on So? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I had a friend. His name was Denny McDermott. I had been doing some club gigs with him. I said, let's get Denny in. And my memory is basically, I said, look, the drums just need to be really simple. We just need to get out of your way. And we cut it with Denny, and we got it. I mean, in some ways, I think my biggest contribution to that track is probably suggesting the quarter note cross stick and my bass part, because I put a slight syncopation into the bass part. And also there's a 6 minor in the chorus that Marc, to this day, doesn't play. If you listen to the track, when I go to the 6 minor in the chorus on the bass, I should get a guitar. He doesn't go to the 6 minor. He still can't do it. But basically, like I said, to this day, Marc, so the chorus goes, walking in Memphis. That chord change, he doesn't play. He still doesn't play it.
Because he didn't agree with it, or he didn't
No,
like it?
he's just never bothered to learn it.
Yeah.
It's his classic. It's actually endearing.
So when you heard it, though, when he heard it in his final rendition, was he like, we got it? Or like, was he still unsure?
I can't remember. I wish we could call him up now and ask him what he thought. It would actually be fun. Let's call him.
We call him.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. So... I'm in the middle of this interview, and we're discussing Walking in Memphis and the recording of it. And I was telling the interviewer, right here, his name is Mason.
Hi, Marc.
How it was. I was telling him sort of the elliptical way that I got involved, because you thought I was a drum programmer, and that you and I had cut it at least twice before we got the final one, and I suspect you had cut it at least once, if not more, before that, right?
Doesn't it?
Right. And I said to him, but it was the only time in my entire recording history where I knew the song was a hit. And he said, did Marc think it was a hit? And I honestly have no idea. Did you know it was a hit? Did you allow yourself to think that?
No, I didn't. Mostly because I wrote that song in 85. I didn't get signed until 89. came out in 91. I didn't even have a record deal. So the idea of having quote unquote a hit didn't really, I didn't dial that in. What I knew was that it was a better song than I'd written up to that point. I sort of turned a corner as a songwriter. But in terms of thinking it was a hit, no, I have no idea.
Interesting. But my basic feeling was like there was a kind of unspoken energy in the air, even from Atlantic, that it was a hit. Like, don't screw this up.
Right. Well, I remember we were having so much trouble getting a good recording of it.
Yeah.
At one point I thought, let's just do the piano, put the piano vocal demo on there.
Yeah.
And the A&R guy at the time was like, no, we need a band on this.
Right.
But you're right. A few people there thought it was a hit. Although there were enough people in Atlantic that also thought it would only go over in Memphis.
A local hit. Yeah, no, yeah. Nobody in Cleveland's going to care about a song about Memphis. It's true. I hadn't thought about it from their perspective. Yeah. Well, we're done with you now. Thanks. Back to me.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye, Mason.
Bye. Thank you.
There you go. That's Americana.
Yeah.
And I watched him walk right through. Now security, they did not see him. They just hovered around his tomb. There's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the jungle room. When I was walking in Memphis, I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam. Walking in Memphis, but do I really feel the way I feel?
This bit, or the churchy bit, I think I play, you know.
They've got catfish on the table. They've got gospel in the air. And Reverend Green, be glad to see you when you haven't got a prayer.
I think I'm out.
Got a prayer in Memphis.